Greetings, everyone. My name is Charles Kovach, the not safe for work presidential candidate campaigning for more direct democracy. And as a way to try and garner attention for this campaign and this change that I'd like to see in this country, I make videos talking about current events and other topics that interest me. And now, I also go on Twitter and piss people off because, that's fun. It's always fun to ask somebody, oh, please explain your position to me in detail, and watch them collapse. But I'll get into that more later on. First, I want to talk about at least one of the major things that is being talked about this week, and that is Bolivia. So, let me tell you everything as I understand it. President Evo Morales apparently is the most popular president in Bolivian history. He wanted to run for an extra term, something not allowed by the Constitution. But the referendum that allowed him to run did not go through for whatever reason. He decided to run anyway, and he won the election by 10%. Then people were saying that the election was fraudulent. The OIS, the Organization of American States, that organization that we can so trust so well, much trust, very believing. Anyways, they came in and said, oh, this election was fraudulent. I don't think it really matters that the person who was the head auditor had written a bunch of articles against Evo Morales prior and had to resign part way through the audit, and a lot of the information came out before it was supposed to. I don't think these things have anything to do with anything. So Evo Morales decided to say, okay, let's have another election then. And everybody was like, cool, we'll do that, and we'll show that Evo Morales' election was fraudulent. So, as soon as they decided they're going to have another election, they launched a coup. Because if you believe you're going to win an election because the other one's fraudulent, that's definitely what you want to do, is launch a coup. Now, you could make the argument that if Evo Morales did somehow rig the election in his favor, that he would just do it again. Okay, but why not have, since you've already had other institutions come in and audit the election, why not just have the stipulation that the new election be under the watchful eye of an external organization? Which seemed to me that Evo Morales was up for anyways. But no, they instead launched a coup. And a lot of people have died in Bolivia. Interesting thing though, apparently many of the people that have been killed and injured in Bolivia, they're indigenous people. Somebody that Morales had fought for and done a lot for through his entire time in office. And yeah, that's very peculiar. Oh, and apparently the new person that has been declared another self-proclaimed president, apparently she's the aunt of a narco trafficker, but I don't think that has anything to do with anything either. I mean, I'm not one to say that someone being in your family has has really an impact on who you are. Just because you have somebody that's a criminal in your family doesn't mean that you're necessarily a criminal either. But given the way that this whole thing went down and who's being killed off right now and other such things like I've described, and I'm not going to get into other details just because I could waste a whole lot of time going on, well, not really waste a lot, but spend a whole video going over all this stuff, and I've already spent like 3 minutes going over it. Yeah, it's all complete, it seems like complete horseshit. On the other side of the world, you have Israel and Palestine. Now, we all know about the Palestinian Palestinian occupation, right? Israel controlling the West Bank and other places for so many years, open air ghettos and all that stuff. But the Palestinian government the Palestinians have been gaining political power in the Israeli government. So, what's the best thing to do in that situation? Launch an attack. Because, yeah. So, Israel says that the Palestinians launched an attack against Israel, and they've been firing back. It's very, I guess, coincidental. You know, maybe it's really poor targeting equipment or whatever. But, you know, the homes of the Palestinian political leaders were, like, blown up and they were killed. So, I guess there's not going to be any real influence in the Israeli government anymore. So, that's just a shame. Yeah. Another big thing. Oh, the impeachment the other way, and oh my God, it's so exciting. I mean, it is just so exciting that even the Democrats behind closed doors apparently said that it was a boring shit show. Because all you're really seeing is one group of corrupt people saying, hey, no, you're corrupt. No, you're corrupt. It's really the pot calling the kettle cracked. And, you know, you and I know it's horse shit. Everybody knows it's horse shit. I don't really want to talk about it because all it really boils down to is more of the donkey fin pretending that they don't share the same brain cell. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Okay. The only thing it's really going to do is just help Trump even more, because that's all the Democrats do. They want Trump to stay in power. I've talked about this before, and okay, now I'm done talking about it. So let's talk about the Constitution, because you have the Equal Rights Amendment that is, what's it called? That is going around and everybody's signing on to. So, the Equal Rights Amendment says, the proposed Equal Rights Amendment says, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Okay. I'm all for this. In principle. In execution, however, this is going to be a nightmare. Because the instant this becomes part of the Constitution, huge swaths of legislation are going to be all of a sudden unconstitutional. Things that protect minorities from racism, well, not racism, things that protect women from like domestic violence, and you know, you have stuff that grants like home loans or college applications or whatever based on sex. Yeah. Now, the thing to talk about here really is foresight. Because had foresight been used in the past, when making all these pieces of legislation that are all of a sudden going to be unconstitutional, then we would be in a better situation when this, if this amendment gets added to the Constitution. Because many of the pieces of legislation were written with only one sex in mind. It's not very, it's not really equality when you're writing something for one sex in mind, even though that's the goal. So really, when you see a situation like this is where you really have to stop chanting alongside your banners, and really stop and look at what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, and if what you're doing is actually going to help you accomplish your goal. Remember, Machiavelli actually said one must consider the ends when determining the means. It's actually a lot closer to that than what most people think it is. So, yeah. I mean, in the long run, it'll probably be, it will be beneficial. At least that's my opinion. But in the short term, it's going to cause a lot of chaos. So just be prepared for that. But ultimately, I'm fine with the amendment. I just think that we should fix all the legislation before we stick all this amendment in. And that's it. And the last thing I want to talk about is the oh so wonderful Federal Reserve. You know, I mentioned before asking people to explain their stances on Twitter, and then watching the hilarity. I mean, I love trolling the trolls. I can't deny that. It's one of those things that just brings me a little bit of joy in this shitty life. But of course, I got the one person saying, "Oh, socialism ruined Venezuela," and of course, my response is, "Okay, explain how." I never got an explanation. All I got was from the people that wanted to support this person were talking points and articles with full of lies and misrepresentation. And once again, I will go back to, if you don't understand what the word socialism actually means, this is America. Have fun seeing your way out, or learn the language. So, once again, Venezuela has had hyperinflation because they printed a whole bunch of money. And why am I talking about this now is because the Federal Reserve is printing a metric ass ton of money. Lots and lots and lots of money. And if you think you haven't seen this here in America, you're wrong. Because where has the Federal Reserve been been putting all their money towards in America while they've been printing it for this past decade? Now let's see. What stocks have been doing really well for the past decade? Oh, technology stocks. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't the Fed been helping those get better? Well, let's see. Well, where are all the major technology companies located? Oh, Silicon Valley. That's right. Okay. Let's see. Well, where's Silicon Valley located? Oh, California. Yeah, it's in California. Okay. Well, is there anything major going on with the economy? Oh, it's the 5th largest economy in the world. Oh, that's natural. Anything else? Oh, that's right. Housing costs have skyrocketed over the past few years, and many people are becoming homeless, and so you have a lot of people fleeing the state. And let's not forget about the tent cities that are forming up around all the tech giant corporations as well. You know, that seems like the effects of hyperinflation to me. So, the point I'm trying to get at here is things happen in waves. When you make a change, you have, let's call it a hunting period, where everything else that's attached to the situation has to see where the balance is within that situation and make its way towards it. So all the hyperinflation of the US dollar that's been going on, it's primarily, we can see much of it localized to California for now, but everything's going to spread. And there was one last thing I do want to talk about, and I know this is going to be a longer video, but I've been sick all week. Shut up. So, the United States Supreme Court, let's see, the states went to the United States Supreme Court, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a previous video, but the United States, many states went to the Supreme Court saying, because they wanted to, okay, I know I'm rambling. Let's go back a couple of years. Remember that oh-so-great tax law that was passed in, what was it, the end of 16 or 17? End of 17. Yeah, end of 17. You know, it cut everybody's taxes. except for now you can't pay. Now you can't deduct state taxes off your federal taxes. And some of the states went to the Supreme Court to try and fight this, and of course they got denied. Yes, I'm sure I've talked about this before now, but there was just one more development on this that I really wanted to talk about, that one of the states with such high tax numbers that you now cannot deduct your taxes from your federal taxes for is New York. And what did Donald Trump do recently? Oh, that's right, he moved out of New York. Yeah. So, that's all I'm going to be talking about today. Also, I made a t-shirt. I'm going to look and see how it looks first, and then if I like it, I will start posting it. Because it's going to cost a couple $1,000s for me, I'll say more than a couple $1,000s for me to gain ballot access to the different states. So, rather than taking donations, which is something I don't really want to do, and I don't need a whole shitload of money, I'm just going to sell t-shirts, and hopefully that'll help raise enough money for ballot access if I actually get some attention other than you fine few people that have been watching my videos. But ultimately it doesn't matter. Like I've said before, this is not about me, this is about real change in this country. This is about turning this country into a direct democracy. And if the direct democracy is something that you are interested in, then please spread the word about either this campaign or this concept. And I thank you for your time.